This is the story of a man and his three daughters. His wife had passed away a few years ago. His three daughters were very beautiful, but the youngest daughter was the most intelligent among her sisters. Her name was Zainab. Karam Din loved his three daughters very much. He never let his daughters feel the absence of their mother. He fulfilled every wish of his daughters. Now Karam Din's daughters had grown up and started cooking food for their father themselves. When Karam Din went out for work, his daughters would prepare food for him and accompany him. A widow woman also lived in the same village, who had a daughter. That widow had a habit of going to every house to ask for something. When Karam Din's daughters cooked food for their father, that woman would often come to their house at that time to ask for fire. But Karam Din's youngest daughter Zainab did not like it. That widow woman did not look good at all. Whenever that woman came to their house, Zainab would say to her sisters, "Why does this woman come to our house? This woman is not good at all." Both the elder sisters would explain to Zainab, "Look, she is a widow and poor, if she takes fire from our house. So what is your loss in this?" Zainab would keep quiet after listening to her sisters, but she would say that this woman will create trouble for all of us one day. This continued like this. That woman would come to their house every day to take fire and would mix ashes in Karam Din's food when she got a chance. When Karam Din felt something was wrong with his food, he thought that his daughters were cooking it and hence they must have made some mistake. He loved his daughters a lot and could not understand why his daughters were spoiling his food. Then one day Karam Din thought, "Today I will keep an eye on my daughters. What have my daughters suddenly started mixing in my food?" When Karam Din's daughters started cooking, he started watching them secretly. His eldest daughter was washing rice with clean water. The younger daughter was making curry and the youngest daughter was cooking rice. Zainab was cleaning the utensils. The utensils in which the food was to be put were cooked and ready in a short while. There was nothing wrong with the food. Karam Din was worried, but then suddenly what he saw shook him to his core. He saw that the same Biwa woman had come to their house to take fire. And his younger daughter Zainab is arguing with him. Meanwhile, his other sisters are trying to convince Zainab. "It is all right, Zainab, she is a widow. Let her take the fire." The elder sister said, but the widow woman, on the pretext of taking the fire, evaded eye contact and mixed the ashes in Karam Din's food. And she spoiled all the food. Seeing this, Karam Din got very angry. The next day Karam Din called that widow woman to his house and angrily asked, "How dare you spoil my food?" That woman came to Karam Din in a very dramatic manner and started caressing his chest. She said, "Hey, I was just checking whether you really love your daughters or not. Do you scold them when the food is spoiled or not? But you turned out to be a very good person. You love your daughters a lot, you caught me stealing immediately. Now I am convinced that you love your daughters very much. Nothing like this will happen again." Karam Din started believing her words and her drama because that innocent woman was beautiful. Karam Din was impressed by her behavior and instead of saying anything, decided to make her his wife. Within a few days, he married the widow without the permission of his daughters and brought her to his house. Within a few days of the marriage, the widow started hating Karam Din's three daughters. She wanted Karam Din's daughters to leave the house at any cost. She started making all kinds of plans to get them out of the house. She thought that if the daughters leave the house, she and her daughter will be able to live a luxurious life comfortably. Also, Karam Din's entire focus will be only on her and her daughter. She knew that Karam Din loved his daughters very much and could not see them unhappy at all. Her own daughter always roamed around wearing expensive clothes, which made her look modern. But the stepmother forced Karam Din's three daughters to do all the household work. She did not even give them enough food to eat and gradually reduced their other needs as well. The three sisters remained unhappy all the time. One day when the two elder sisters were crying, Zainab came to her elder sisters and said, "Dear sisters, let us three go out somewhere so that our minds get refreshed." Then the three sisters left the house and walked to a forest. There they sat under a dense tree and started crying and remembering their mother. Meanwhile, an old man who prayed to Allah passed by them. Zainab was sitting on the ground and crying and saying, "Oh my Allah! We are oppressed girls and are very unhappy. You see how much our stepmother tortures us? We have been hungry for so many days." The Allah-loving elders were standing nearby and listening to their conversation. Then they turned to Zainab and said, "Daughters, you three come here under this tree every day. Can you tell me what is bothering you?" Zainab weepingly told the whole incident to the old man of Allah. The old man was very sad to hear her. He said, "Daughter, my hut is a little distance from here. I live there and pray. There is a pomegranate tree outside my hut, on which ripe pomegranates are hanging. You go and pluck as many pomegranates as you want from that tree and eat them." Hearing this, all three girls reached that hut happily. They saw that there were very beautiful and juicy pomegranates hanging on the tree. All three plucked one pomegranate each and sat down and started eating it with pleasure. When her stomach was full, she thanked the old man and came back home. After this, when her stepmother did not give her food, she would go to the forest every day and eat those pomegranates to fill her stomach. Slowly, she stopped eating the food given by her mother. Now her stepmother started thinking, "I don't give these girls anything to eat. I make them do so much work, I humiliate them. Yet there is a strange glow on their faces. None of them falls sick, rather their beauty keeps increasing, and my daughter, whom I give so much good food, looks ugly in front of them." The next day when the girls went towards the forest, the stepmother sent her daughter to follow them. When the three girls were plucking and eating pomegranates, Zainab saw her stepsister. She told the other sisters that this girl is following us. I will chase her away from here. Then Zainab hid the pomegranate in her hand and said that if she tells all this to her mother, she can cause trouble for us. But Zainab's other sisters said, "Zainab, what are you saying? This poor girl is innocent." Zainab's elder sisters said that our stepmother troubles us. She does not say anything to us. After this, the three sisters made their half-sister sit near them and gave her a pomegranate, but the half-sister did not eat the pomegranate and quickly went to her mother and said, "Mother, those girls do not stay hungry. They pluck pomegranates from a tree in the forest and eat them." An old man was also praying near the same tree, and he too did not try to stop them. Hearing this, the stepmother got very angry. She started thinking, "How can I stop these girls from eating pomegranates?" She remained angry the whole day until Karam Din returned home from work in the evening. So he saw his wife upset. He asked, "What is your problem? Why are you sitting so sad?" She said, "I have a severe headache and it will not be cured by any medicine." Karam Din asked, "Then how will it be cured?" She immediately said, "There is a pomegranate tree in the forest. If you cut the tree on which the red pomegranates are grown, boil its roots and make a medicine and apply it on my forehead, then my headache can be cured." Karam Din said, "That's all." Then he called some men and gave them money and said, "No. There is a pomegranate tree in the forest. You people uproot it from the roots and bring its roots to me." In a few hours those men uprooted the tree and brought its roots to Karam Din. Karam Din quickly lit a fire and made a medicine from those roots and started rubbing it on his wife's forehead. After a while his wife started saying, "Now I am relieved." The next day when the three sisters went to the forest, they saw that someone had uprooted the pomegranate tree. Seeing this they became very upset and started thinking, "What will we eat now?" Then all three girls sat there and started crying. Hearing their crying, the Allah elder came out of his hut. He understood why the girls were crying. He said, "What is there to cry about? Allah will give you something better than this." Then the Allah elder pointed towards the ground with his finger and a small river formed there, in which milk was flowing instead of water. He gave those girls an earthen cup and said, "Drink milk from it as much as you want." The girls were very happy and started drinking milk by filling it in the earthen cup. When their stomachs were full, they thanked the old man and returned home. After this, it became their daily routine to go to the pond and drink milk by filling it in an earthen cup. Their stepmother was surprised to see their health. She called her daughter and said, "I had wiped out every trace of the pomegranate tree from the forest, yet it did not affect the health of these girls. I don't even give them enough food to eat. What are they eating that is keeping them so healthy?" She asked her daughter to follow them and find out what they eat. The girl again followed her sisters into the forest while the three were drinking milk from an earthen cup. No? So Zainab looked back. Seeing her half-sister standing quietly, she said to the other sisters, "Look, this girl is following us again." Zainab said to her sisters, "You guys get up quickly and send her away from here, because if she sees our pond, she will go home and tell everything. And then there will be a ruckus in the house." But Zainab's elder sisters scolded her and said, "What is your problem? I agree that our stepmother tortures us, but what is the fault of this poor lady in this?" Zainab became silent after hearing this. After this, the three made their stepsister sit near the river. And she filled a clay cup with milk and gave it to her. The girl drank the milk and quickly went to her mother and told her the whole story about the pond and the milk. The stepmother got very angry on hearing this. She called some men from her village and said, "I will give you as much money as you want. But you have to go to the forest. There is an old man's hut and a pond there. You have to destroy that hut and put soil in the pond. In return you will get a lot of money." In a short while those men returned after doing everything according to her wish. The woman was very happy now. The next day when the three sisters went to the forest, they saw that there was neither a pond nor the old man's hut. They were deeply saddened to see this. They sat there and started crying and returned to their home hungry and thirsty. Their stepmother was very relieved to see this. No, one day she again went to bed making an excuse of illness. In the evening when Karam Din came home, he lovingly told his wife that even if everything of mine is sold, I will not let anything happen to you. I will get you treated by the best doctor. But his wife was playing some other tricks. She said, "You don't need to do so much. Just do one small thing to save my life." Karam Din said, "Tell me quickly what to do, I will do that." His wife said, "Take out the blood of your three daughters and rub it on the palms of my hands and feet, only then I can be cured." Hearing this, Karam Din's eyes filled with tears because he loved his daughters very much. He quietly came out of the room and started looking for his daughters, but they were not at home. He got worried and went searching for them and reached the graveyard. There he saw all his three daughters. She is crying sitting near her mother's grave. Seeing this, Karam Din's heart trembled. On one hand there was his wife's desire and on the other hand his daughters' lives. Karam Din was not able to understand what to do. He thought that his wife would never be happy with his daughters. And his daughters are not happy with their stepmother. So he decided that he will take the daughters somewhere far away. He hugged his daughters and said, "Oh daughters, why are you upset? I will take you somewhere else." He took his daughters to a dense forest. There he made a clay stove and cooked food for his daughters and fed them. When the daughters ate their fill, they slept under a tree. Karam Din left his daughters sleeping there and ran away from there. He had this thought in his heart that at least his daughters will remain alive. And they will be saved from the atrocities of their stepmother. On the way he hunted a deer and took its blood and gave it to his wife. His wife applied that blood on her hands and feet and said happily, "Now I am relieved." She became sure that Karam Din killed his daughters. On the other hand, when the three sisters woke up, they saw that their father had left them. They started calling their father. They got scared and started crying after hearing the sounds of wild animals in the forest. Coincidentally, three friends had come to the same forest for hunting and were returning after hunting. So one of their friends, whose name was Nasir, said, "I think Nasir said someone is in trouble here. Can't you guys hear anyone crying? I can hear someone crying." Let's go quickly and see if someone needs our help." Then the three friends started walking in the direction of the voice. Going ahead, they saw three beautiful girls sitting and crying. Nasir went ahead and asked them, "What are you doing here alone and why are you crying so much?" Zainab told Nasir her whole story. The boys felt very sorry for them. They started talking among themselves. "Why don't we marry these girls? They will get a roof over their head and our lives will also start passing peacefully." Then those three boys married those three girls. Zainab got married to Nasir. Coincidentally, the houses of those three friends were nearby. All three sisters started living happily in their respective homes. After 1 year, Zainab gave birth to a son. Seeing this, Nasir's friends and Zainab's sisters were very happy. Slowly, Zainab's son became 2 years old. One day, Nasir told his friends, "I feel like hunting in the jungle again today. Let's go hunting," but his friends refused and said, "We have to go for some important work, we cannot go to the jungle with you." Nasir took permission from Zainab and went alone to hunt in the jungle. But after this many days passed, and Nasir did not return home. Zainab became very worried. Her sisters also became worried seeing her worry. Zainab's brother-in-law, Nasir's friend, consoled her and said, "Don't worry, we will find Nasir and bring him back." But God's will was such that Nasir's friends also died. They went to the jungle to look for him, but they too did not return. Once again, a mountain of grief fell on the three sisters. One day, Zainab was putting her son to sleep when there was a knock on the door. She quickly went and opened the door. What did she see? An old fakir who was wearing green clothes was standing there. "The gentleman is standing at the door." Seeing him, she said, "Baba, my husband is not at home. I cannot allow you to come inside the house. You come when my husband comes." On this the fakir said, "Daughter, I am very hungry. What is the harm in feeding a hungry person?" Zainab called that fakir to her house out of compulsion and started cooking food for him. But that magician fakir kept looking at Zainab with evil eyes. Then that magician got up and came close to Zainab and said, "Listen girl, I like you very much. Leave your son and marry me." Zainab started trembling with fear and said, "Baba, what are you talking about? I am married and mother of a child. How dare you say this?" Hearing this, the magician fakir got angry. He turned Zainab into a bitch with his magic and started dragging her away by putting a rope around her neck. Here, Zainab's son was crying loudly. When Zainab's sisters heard her son crying, they came running to her house. They quickly hugged Zainab's son and started looking for their sister in the house, but they could not find Zainab anywhere. After their stepmother, Zainab had also disappeared. Time kept passing like this. Now 14 long years had passed since Zainab went missing. During this time Zainab's son had grown up. He was raised by his two aunts together. One day Zainab's aunts told him the whole truth about his mother. On hearing this he became very upset and said, "Kala, today I will definitely go to find my parents." His aunts consoled him and said, "Son, whatever was to happen has happened. Those who had to go have gone. Now we do not want to lose you. Our husbands also went to the forest and they never returned. If you also go, then with whose support will we go?" But the boy said, "Don't worry. I will find my father and everyone else and bring them back." Then the boy left for the forest. He kept wandering here and there in the forest for many days, but he could not understand where to find his parents. While searching like this, he reached an area which was completely made up of stones. There he saw stone buildings and a beautiful small stone house. He was looking at that house carefully when suddenly an old man came out of that house and said, "Son, you seem new here. What was the need for you to come to this dangerous area?" The boy replied, "Baba ji, I have come here to find my parents and uncle. A magician had turned my mother into a bitch and taken her away." The Allah whale elder said, "Son, this area belongs to a very big magician. He is very powerful. Whoever messes with him or insults him, he turns them into stone." These stones that you see around you were also humans once. The magician turned them into stone. A few years ago a young man came here. After him 2 more young men followed him. The magician turned them into trees and stones and also imprisoned a pious and pure girl for 12 years. The magician wants to marry the girl, but the girl is not agreeing in any way. After listening to the old man's words, the boy started thinking, surely this girl is my mother and these people are my own family. Finally I found my own people. After this the boy told his whole story to the old man and said, Baba Ji, please help me. Tell me some way to save these helpless people? The old man, whose hut was once burned by Zainab's stepmother, smiled and said, Son, Allah always helps the good-hearted, you should not lose courage. The Allah elders were forced to come and live in this dangerous area. They promised the boy that they would definitely support him. The elders started thinking, who knows, what will happen if this boy frees his mother? The rest of the prisoners should also be freed from the magician's captivity. The old man told the rest of the villagers, this is my grandson who has come to meet me from another village. When the magician suspected that a new boy has come to the village, he immediately went to the Allah whale old man and asked, who is this? The old man replied, this is my grandson. This is how the magician and the boy met. The boy started meeting the magician hiding his identity. The magician looked at the boy and said, you seem very intelligent and are noble and innocent like your grandfather. Tomorrow you will do a job for me. I will send you to a building where I have to give my message to a girl. I want to marry her. The boy understood that he is going to meet his mother. He was very happy and started thinking that he will take flowers for his mother. He planned that when the time comes he will reveal his identity to his mother to recognize her. At the time of Zainab's wedding, Nasir had given her a ring on which his name was written. Later Zainab gave that ring to her son. Years later the ring was repaired and remade and the boy was still wearing the same ring. The Allah-loving old man told the boy to hide his ring in a bouquet of flowers. When your mother sees this she will immediately recognize you, but this task will not be easy. The magician has posted a guard to keep a strict watch on Zainab, who keeps a strict watch at all times. The magician respected the Allah-loving elder very much and considered his grandson to be a noble person. He started sending the boy with a bouquet to Zainab every day. Due to the boy's young age of just 14 years, the magician did not suspect him. Zainab was kept imprisoned in a room where no man was allowed to go. The boy used to go to Zainab every day with a bouquet. He would go to Zainab and there a maidservant of the magician would always stay with Zainab. One day luck favored the boy. He got such an opportunity when there was no one in the room except Zainab. The boy quickly took off the ring from his finger and hid it in a bouquet of flowers and placed it at Zainab's feet. As soon as the bouquet was placed on the ground, there was a ringing sound. Zainab picked up the bouquet in surprise and recognized the ring tied in the flowers. It was the same ring that she had made her son wear years ago. Zainab's eyes immediately turned towards the boy who had brought the bouquet. As soon as their eyes met, the truth became clear. The magician had imprisoned Zainab, but her son started making plans to free his mother. Zainab agreed to marry the magician and found out the secret of his power. The magician told her that her life was in a parrot which was locked in a cage, and it is kept under strict guard under a tree in a dense forest. Zainab told this secret to her son but forbade him to go to save him from danger. Still the son assured his mother that he would return successful. After many days of hard work he reached the forest. Seeing an opportunity, he took the parrot out of the cage and brought it back to the magician's building. The magician, seeing him, started begging for the return of the parrot. The boy cleverly got the magician to free all the prisoners. After this, he pulled the parrot's feathers, which ended the magician's power. Finally, he twisted the parrot's neck, killing the magician. The boy freed his mother Zainab, father Nasir and all the other prisoners. Then they all went to the Allah-loving elder. Everyone thanked the elder and returned to their homes. Zainab's sisters were very happy to meet their husbands. The father of the daughters, who had been imprisoned by the magician for years and were grieving the loss of their daughters, started crying with joy on seeing them safe and sound. He apologized to his daughters and told them that all this happened because of his wife's conspiracies. The daughters consoled their father and said, "We are happy with our lives." His father told that his stepmother, who used to torture them, died due to a dirty disease. After this, everyone started living their life with happiness and peace.